Hey, how's it going guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing with 100% walkthrough guides of Death's Gambit. The next area we're going to be seeing today is called the Journey's End. Last time we just took out By-Surge and that put an end to Godly Tomb. So as soon as we enter this area we are going to find a save point which you can use to level up and use your hard-earned shards from the previous boss. Continue right through this dark passageway, there's nothing here you can really miss. After coming down these red stairs, there will be an enemy in the cage behind you who will try to ambush you once you walk past him. Shortly after that, the enemy crawling along the roof will fall down in front of you and try to attack you. These enemies do a lot of damage, so be very careful with these. Continuing to the next room where you will find another outer. This most likely you won't have enough shards to level up yet again, but sit down nonetheless just in case we die, as this place can be very devastating. Once you cross the bridge, there will be two more of these enemies that can hit you with a contagion. The first thing we're going to find over here to the right is a long ladder that leads back up to the rightest passage that connects the rest of the world together as usual. So that's always a nice shortcut to have. Drop back down the ladder and jump across to the right. Over here to the right we'll notice there's a couple of doorways on the top level and the medium level, which you need the Ivory Key. So we'll need to get the Ivory Key as soon as possible. So first of all we want to jump across here to the left, and here we'll find some Gallium blood on the second level. Continue falling down right to the bottom, and down here we'll notice there's going to be a crystal lizard, and behind that crystal lizard there's going to be an item hanging off the end of the ledge to the left. And that is going to be the Blindfold, a pretty interesting accessory that when you put it on, the screen completely gets blacked out. So I can't really find any viable use for that item at the moment. But if we continue over here, right on the bottom floor, over to the right, there's going to be two Shadow Knights. Take them out and then be careful. In this pool of blood, if you stand in it, you will take damage constantly, so I recommend trying to jump and dash across. There is one item, however, in the middle of that pool of blood, which I would recommend picking up, especially if you're the Acolyte, as there's going to be an Acolyte Scythe plus 5, which can be a very good weapon, obviously depending on which class you chose. And just take out this enemy so it doesn't follow us across the pool of blood, and now we do want to continue over to the right. We're going to find this weird wheel sort of rotation contraption, which is going to be a little bit of a landmark we can sort of guide ourselves back to, as we're going to be sort of coming past here more than once in this level. First thing we're going to do is jump off it to the right, and we're going to find a brand new NPC. This is going to be Ash. She can sell us one of the best abilities in the game if you have a scythe and a scythe / intelligence build, as well as she can enchant and disenchant Agia.
If thou art beyond the dark, if thou is...
So take your time, do what you need to do there, and then just behind her you notice there's another gold chest, which we will need to have gotten here without using any feathers to heal. And this is going to be the Reaper's Maul. This is actually going to be a very good shield if you have the stats to use it, so I would definitely recommend trying to pick this up. Over here to the top, you will notice the tome was on the top right, and there's an item over to the top left. We can't pick up those items from here, but just so you can make a mental note of where they are in relation to the wheel. Come down here, take care of the ghost enemy to the left, and over to the right there's going to be a gold Drake Knight, so be careful with him, fail to parry him, and wait for him to go off the edge, I suppose. Here we're going to get the Flare Plume, which is going to be the next upgrade for the feathers, and this one's going to heal 400 HP, which is obviously a decent amount compared to some of the previous ones we've had up until now. Go past the first razor and then continue going across the left, being careful of the enemies with the crossbows as well as the razors. And here we're going to find the Ivory Key, which is the key we need to traverse through most of this area. So here you can either walk back or pretty much just fall down. It's probably even quicker to fall down as there's nothing else down there we need to grab at the moment, and we'll appear back at the previous outer. So from here we want to drop down and go down and open up the ivory door on the second floor, not the top one. So through here, there will be another ghost enemy we need to throw a sunstone at, take care of him. And here we're going to find the first of the tomes for this boss. As well as if we continue over here to the right, we'll find an item. And this is the item we could see from the wheels. The one at the top left, I mentioned there was an item we could see that we couldn't get to. This is that item. Take care of the Shadow Knight that will ambush us once we go for the item. After this, we want to backtrack through the doorway and climb up the ladder to the top floor again. Now we are going to open up the ivory door at the top, and there's going to be quite a few false death idols up here. So all of these are going to be fake outers. You can't risk any of them, so either just simply walk straight past them or attack them, whichever you prefer. On the next wooden bridge, there's going to be another ghost enemy. Take him out, preferably once you're on safe land. We actually want to drop down on the right side of this wooden bridge, and from here we want to stick to the right, and we're actually going to fall on top of that second tome for the Eldritch Council. Which, again, this is what we could see from the top of the wheel, if you can notice the wheel straight below us here. So we're going to fast forward because we need to backtrack and get back on top of the wooden bridge this time without falling down, but we did need to fall down here to grab the tome, and there was no way back up instead of walking the way around. So now we're back up here. Obviously this time we're going to continue forwards past the Razor and take out the Shadow Knight again. And here there's going to be a second bridge with another Razor on it, so simply go past there, be careful with the enemies on the other side. Now here's one of the best well-hidden items on this level. Over here we're going to get the Coulter's Graves, but just over here to the right, if we jump and dash in midair, we can actually find an Immortalite Stone. This, you've got to be a bit of an adventure to sort of discover, because there's no way to know it's there, you just sort of got to go for it and hope there's something over there. But yeah, there is an Immortalite Stone, so I definitely recommend picking that up as it's pretty easy to grab once you know it's there. And straight below here we're going to find the last outer, the last real death idol in this place. So take this time to level up, and do what you need to do, as we'll be fighting the boss very, very soon. There's a few more items we do need to pick up first, though. Take out these two enemies, and be careful here. Fink will ambush you if you did fail to buy something from him in previous encounters. Now here, notice that the dust left behind by these enemies, if it gets high enough, if the meter gets high enough, it will actually hit us with Contagion. The only way to get rid of this is by using the Panacea items, which can be bought from the Snail NPC back in the second area. And that's why I would recommend not killing the Snail NPC early on in the game, as the only other way I know of getting Panacea is dying versus the boss of this area, which could be unfortunate if you already killed the boss of this area. Now jump across these platforms to the left, take care of the ghost enemy by throwing a Sunstone as usual, and here there'll be another damage threshold chest, which is actually pretty high damage. And inside it's a pretty cool aura. We're going to get Greed, which it increases the chance of enemies dropping items, as well as indicating the closest item to where we are at the current time. So that can definitely be pretty useful. Now I'm going to jump back across the wooden platforms to the right. And this time we want to drop down the ladder. Once we're at the bottom, we want to go left this time, and at the end we're going to find another guy in blood. Go back across to the right, and we will be ambushed by yet another 3 of these Shadow Knights. So now you could either go back up to the top if you really want to heal. Right now we're just straight below the outer, the Death Idol save point. But we're just going to go down, be careful with this fake idol again, and it's going to be this Razor followed by the enemy. And we are literally right next to the boss room now, so this is why I said if you feel like you need to go back, if you don't feel comfortable going to the boss room with not too many healing wares or whatever you need to do. Because once you drop down here, this will start the encounter with the Eldritch Council. So I'm going to leave the full fight in here most likely, just so you guys can see exactly what it consists of. There's going to be 4 red crystals in this room, and each time you destroy one, it will spawn in one of these fish enemies. Depending on which one of the 4 crystals you destroy, it will spawn in him with a different ability. So the one on the far left will spawn him in with this ability you can see here. He'll spawn these sort of energy balls that if they touch the ground, they will make a huge explosion, so you need to keep hitting them to sort of volley them to keep on going back in the air before they hit the ground. Also, another thing to notice, the blood level is always going to be rising. Once it gets past 100% or so, it's going to start damaging you constantly. The only way to stop it from coming up and going back down is by attacking the red crystals. And you can only attack the red crystals when the fish enemy is dead, so you need to kill them relatively quickly. There's a bit of a time limit, you could even say. Especially if you've not got much healing wares, you need to be pretty careful. Other than that, it's a relatively easy fight. Just pay attention to everything going on, know how to deal with most abilities. Pretty much everything, even that explodes, anything being fired down, you can normally attack just to get rid of before it actually hits you. It doesn't really matter which order you destroy the red crystals in. I personally just don't like having... the only thing that really changes is take into account the last one of the crystals you destroy is most likely going to leave some of its residues still carrying on over into the actual second part of the boss fight when the boss actually comes down and fights you. So I personally just don't like having the first one we destroyed on the far left to be our last one, because having those balls that drop down and doing a huge amount of damage at the same time as fighting the boss is just something I don't like dealing with. Other than that, I don't really care too much which ones we destroy last. The red blob things that get spawned in, the exact same thing we could see inside the Dark Knight boss fight, so there's nothing really new here. Once the Eldritch Council actually drops down and you fight the boss herself, I think this is where the fight actually gets easier, if anything. She doesn't really get too much HP, to be honest. Just watch out when she's using abilities. Don't get too greedy is the best tip I can give you. You get so many easy opportunities to attack this boss that you don't need to really get greedy and try to attack in moments you don't feel like you can. If there's an ability coming your way, take your time to dodge it, take your time to get rid of the red blobs, and then just simply go back to attacking. You get these huge sort of frames between her attacks where you can get so much damage in without having to really worry about anything. Once we have taken care of her, there's going to be a couple more items we can grab here. One's not really part of this area, but I would still include it in this area because there's not really any other area to include it in. We'll get a talent point as usual, and we'll also get one of the sigils. We're going to need 3 of these sigils in total, which are going to be to open up the final area of this game. So after we've seen this little cutscene here with Death, we're going to continue forwards, and we're going to find a panacea on the ground. After that, we're going to take this lift up, and as you probably guessed, this lift is going to lead back to the Rider's Passage as per usual. Before we head left and go back, what we're going to do is we want to take a right, and this is the item I was talking about. There's actually going to be another feather upgrade down here. The next episode, we're going to be heading all the way back to the observatory to pick up the second of the sigils. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, don't forget that thumbs up button, subscribe for more content coming very soon, and we will see you next time.